Hello again, everyone, and welcome to languagecaster.com, the football language podcast for learners of English who love the beautiful game of football. I'm Damian, and I'm here in London, and I'm one half of the languagecaster team. The other member, of course, is Damon, who's based in Tokyo in Japan. Okay, I'm in a warm and sunny London, and it's the day after the final quarter-final match from the 2022 Women's European Championship that is taking place here in England. And so, on today's Football Language podcast, we take a look at some of the words and phrases from the last of these four quarter-finals. And this one was between holders the Netherlands and France. To do this, we'll look at one of the sentences from a report on the BBC website that includes phrases such as break the deadlock, from the spot, and set up a meeting with. And don't forget that you can also listen to our recent podcast on some of the words and phrases from the England versus Spain last 8 game, in which we discussed the phrases thunder in, stunner, and fire into.
Vous écoutez languagecaster.com.
Okay, here's the sentence from the BBC. Yves Perisset finally broke the deadlock for Les Bleus from the spot in the 102nd minute to set up a last 4 meeting with Germany in Milton Keynes on Wednesday. So France overcame their quarter-final hoodoo to defeat the holders, the Netherlands, 1-0 and make the last 4 of the European Championships for the first time. Les Bleus had been eliminated at the quarter-final stage in each of the last 3 European tournaments. They were the better side throughout the tie, but only won thanks to a penalty in extra time. We'll take a look at the phrases break the deadlock, from the spot, and set up a meeting from that sentence from the BBC report on the game. And it's a sentence that explains nearly all of the main information and context from that match. Broke the deadlock. So the phrase to break the deadlock in football is used to describe when one team moves ahead in the game. They break the draw, they open up the game. So, for example, if the game is scoreless, that's 0-0, and a team scores, we can say that they have broken the deadlock. In this quarter-final, the French finally scored against the Dutch. They had over 30 opportunities to score in the game, but only in extra time did they manage to do this. They broke the deadlock and then held on to win 1-0 and go through or qualify to the semi-final. From the spot, the winning goal scored by Yves Perisset came from a penalty which was awarded in the first period of extra time after the referee consulted VAR. Now for me it was a clear penalty as the Dutch defender clearly brought down the French attacker. Maybe not a stonewall penalty, which is used to describe a super clear penalty, but definitely a penalty. Perisset's penalty was struck hard to the keeper's right, and although she got a hand to the ball, the Dutch keeper Van Domselaar, who was player of the match, was unable to keep the ball out. So we can say that Perisset scored from the spot. Set up a meeting with. The next phrase is very common in the business world and describes how different parties or groups organize their next meeting. Here, in this example, the meeting refers to the next round of the tournament, which in this case is the semi-final. So, the win for the French means they have qualified for their first ever European Championship semi-final, where they will face Germany. Their win means they will set up a meeting with Germany.
Hi, my name's Izzy. I'm a fan of Dulwich Hamlets FC, and you're listening to languagecaster.com.
So let's take a look at the original sentence again. Yves Perisset finally broke the deadlock for Les Bleus from the spot in the 102nd minute to set up a last 4 meeting with Germany in Milton Keynes on Wednesday. So we can say that France's winning goal came from a penalty in extra time, and this meant that they would face Germany in the semi-final next Wednesday. Now, if you want to ask any football language questions or simply say hello, then you can do so by adding a comment on our site here or by using our forum. You can also send us an email at admin@languagecaster.com, and you can also look out for us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Je luistert naar languagecaster.com.
Yes, you are listening to LanguageCaster. That message was in Dutch, and we'd love to hear from anyone else who might like to share this message. You are listening to languagecaster.com. Don't forget that there's a transcript of this podcast and lots of vocabulary support, which you can access by coming along to our site. It's a great resource for those learning and teaching the language. Okay, that's it for this short football language podcast in which we looked at some of the language from the quarter-final match between the Netherlands and France from the Women's Euros from a recent report on the BBC website, including break the deadlock, from the spot, and set up a meeting with. We'll be back soon with more football language, but until then, enjoy all the football, especially the semi-finals of the European Championships. Bye-bye.